Hello everyone, we are going to discuss right now about client-side scripting. Why we need a client-side scripting as ServiceNow is, if you want to govern the behavior of the form in a web browser, we have to create a client-side scripting. And client-side scripting is classified into two different modules or the options in ServiceNow. One is client scripts and another one is UI policy. With the client script, we need to write a bit of the coding to achieve the behavior, but with the UI policy, we can achieve the behavior without writing a code or by configuring the creating rules. We will discuss that a bit more further. But today we are going to discuss about the client scripts itself. And what are the things that we can achieve with the client scripts in the web browser or on the web browser in ServiceNow form? One can generate alerts, confirmation messages, and one can also populate a field value based on the value of the another field. And we can also validate the data on the form. For example, if you want to validate the mandatory fields, you can do that. Or if you want to validate the date values, you can do that. And we can also modify the choice list. Modifying the choice list, nothing but adding or removing options to a choice field, or limiting the choices based on the options of another field. These are all the activities that we can do with client scripts. And you can also hide or show fields or sections based on the requirements. Then what type of a client side scripts that we have? Based on the time that the client script executed on a browser, it is classified into three types. One is loaded, and second one is change, and the last one is a submitted. Loaded is nothing but onLoad web browser event. When the form gets loaded, this onLoad client script will come into picture and it will execute on that particular table. Client scripts, onLoad client script. On change, as we discussed, it is configured on a field level, it's not on a form level. If the value of the field gets changed, then this client script gets into picture. But what about the submitted? The submitted is on form level, and on submit client script will execute it when form is submitted. That means that if you have saved this or if you have updated the form, then on submitted client script will be executed. But let's go and see the form of the client script. So right now I am in Studio. To create a client script, I'll be opening create application file, and it will open the dialog. And the one that I'm interested here is client script. Click on create. This is a client script form. You will be having a name, you will be having a table and UI type and a type of a client script. So name is the user defined name. You can give a name to a client script based on what it is doing. It is a user defined. You can give name to a client script as per your liking. Then we need to link this client script to a particular table, so that when the form gets opened on a particular table and we are working on the form, then this client scripts can come into picture. Then UI type. There are multiple UI types in ServiceNow. One is desktop, another one is mobile and service portal, and another one is last one is all. You could choose the client script to run on a desktop or on mobile or service portal, or you can also select all so that the client script gets executed in all types of UIs. Then the right side you have inherited and applied inherited. That means that if this table in future, this table is extended by any other table in ServiceNow, if you want this behavior to be applied on the extended table as well, then you have this configuration needs to be enabled. As of now, the NeedIt application that we are working, we don't see that requirement, so I'll leave that as it is. Then the global. So this global will come into picture if your form have multiple versions of views. For example, you have created a view targeting specific people or specific audiences or specific users in your group, then you need to apply this client script specific that view. Then you will be using this option. Right now we are writing this client scripts applied on global. That means that all views on the table. So we will be keeping that option as it is. Then let's go back to our presentation. We have a two requirement to solve right now. Requirement one is set the requested for to the currently logged in user for a new record. So the key important here is we have to set the requested for field value to the currently logged in user. At the same time, it should only work for the new record. It shouldn't work for the old records. That's a requirement that we have. So when you look at the requirement, you can relate this requirement in few other ways, and you can also think about achieving this requirement more than one way. But right now our area is to work on client script, and the client script we are going to create an onLoad client script. Why onLoad client script? We would like to set this value on while loading the form itself. So I think for this requirement onLoad client script is very suitable. So let's create an onLoad client script and give a meaningful name to our client script, that is NeedIt requested for set requested for to logged in user, and the table is NeedIt table. Let's select NeedIt table, and it should work on all UI types, and the type of the client script is onLoad. You can notice as soon as we select the type of the client script, the script field gets updated with the respective function. The function that it is loaded right now is onLoad function, because we selected the type of the client script is onLoad. Then it is applied on global. So these are all the configurations that we already discussed. We don't have to change anything else here. Then write a script to achieve this behavior. How we can set a value to the form field? Is there any inbuilt API methods that are available? But before doing that, it is very important for us to know two main APIs on client side. One is glide form, and another one is glide user. These are the two APIs which are very useful, and mostly we will be working the methods on this methods of these APIs. The one that we are going to use to set a value to any field on a form is g_form set value. Let's go back to the documentation and see what this method is all about. So one can find these references in developer site. There is a menu item called reference. Underneath that you have an API section. If you are using client side, you can go to the client. If it is a server, you can go to this APIs. Right now we are working on client side, so click on client side scripting, client side API. And the one that we are interested right now is glide form API. This is the glide form API. It will have more than one methods that are available. And the one that we are interested here right now is set value. So what is the definition of the set value method? Sets the value of a specified form field to a passed in value. So it sets a field value, the value that we have provided. It takes two parameters. Parameter 1 is the field name. Parameter 2 is the value to that field. And this is a syntax to that. Let's go back to here. Set value. What is the field name? Mind you, we shouldn't be using the field label. We should use the field name, the backend name of the field. The field name is requested for. And the value to it is, we have to pass, like before doing that, let's examine what type of a field it is. Show requested for. The show requested for is a reference field, and it is reference to sysuser table. So in a form for any reference field, we should be passing the sysID of that record. So right now, what is our requirement? We have to set requested for to the currently logged in user. How can I get the logged in user sysID? There is also a method in the glide user API. Let's go back to the documentation, look at the document for the glide user API, and let's see user ID, what it does here. It is returns the sysID of the current user. That's what we want, right? It returns the sysID of the current user, and see how we can use that. Copy this line of a code, go to your client script and place it here and use this user ID in set value. But tell me one thing, this two pieces of code will work on a NeedIt form every time it gets loaded. Is it the correct behavior that we wanted? We don't want to execute this onLoad for the old records. We want to set this value only for the new record. How do you get to know whether this record is that we are loading the record is a new record or old record? For that, there is one more method called in g_form. There is one more method called isNewRecord. This isNewRecord returns true if the record is never saved. If it is never saved means that's a new record, right? So we will be using the same functionality. So if g_form is new record, then run this 2 lines of client script code. Set the requested to the currently logged in user ID. Save this, submit this. So to changes the client script or changes to client script to be affected on any given form, you must reload post the changes. So reload it. See right now, when it reload the form, this record is never saved. After reloading the form, the requested for is automatically set to logged in user sysID. But let's save this, change this. I'm going to create it for Fred Ludi, the other user in our organization, and he has some issues with the facilities and he wants to facilities to group respond, needs a chair at the desktop at the location. Submit this and reload the form again. So while you are reloading the form, you could see that this client script that we have created will not be coming to picture because this is not a new record. This is an old record. But let's create a new record for our testing purpose. Create a new record. So while you are creating a new record, the requested for will be automatically populated for the logged in user because I logged in as system administrator. So it is requested for set to the logged in user. So that's it for today's session, and we will be creating the next client script in next video. Thank you.